All right, welcome. Welcome to a Casey Zander special. If you don't know who Casey Zander is, or if you're new to my channel, period, welcome. It's good to have you. We're going to be reacting to this video, going through it with Casey Zander. YouTube I've been subscribed to for a pretty significant period of time. However, I haven't checked any of his videos out for the better part of the last 3 or so years. Having been in a relationship myself, I have had no reason to heed his advice, maybe at my own peril, but this video is titled Women Notice Men Who've, in caps, increased SMV and attractiveness in these areas, masculine seduction in brackets, and he's got an Einstein level 140 IQ plus setup going on with the fucking physics board in the background. I can't help but laugh at that. We are about to go down the rabbit hole of intellectual overdrive of the pickup game. This supersedes by far any YouTuber who I've seen in recent history. So let's just crack on and see what Casey Zander has to enlighten us with. It's going to be an easygoing video again. Just seeing how NVIDIA Broadcast does. I tweaked a few settings, see if it's a little better. And yeah, if you've seen any of my other videos, let me know if you prefer this or the boxy setup. So where we've got a background, but there might not be any clipping. Well, there isn't any clipping, as opposed to potentially now, if I move a little bit, it might start clipping a portion of my face, my head, or my hair. All right.
Okay, buckle up, because in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to increase SMV and...
Yeah, I'm all good with buckling up, but why is this taskbar down here? If I unlock it, will it disappear? Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Maybe I should just like cut the video. But I don't do cuts. So you had to bear with me.
Attractiveness, and this is going to be step-by-step specific processes that you can use to make yourself more attractive to women. I'm going to be giving you real-life processes that transition or that translate directly into a better dating life. Stick with me, because I understand that this video...
Stick with this shit. We're going way up top with this detailed infographic.
It will change your life at a very high level, because this is going to be fundamental masculinity secrets to success that majority of men don't even know exist. Now, you no longer have an excuse to not be part of some of the things that I made, which means I have created my own complementary group, my own complementary process.
Holy shit. Look at the sophistication deep dive. Now, I've explicitly said countless times you don't need a university college grade education to pick up women, to be attractive to women, to enter and sustain a relationship. I kind of find this a little funny coming from a man who's not in a fruitful relationship, or if he is, then actually I stand corrected and good on him, but I don't see any ring on his finger to indicate that he's married. Now, if his whole lifestyle is about pickup artistry, well, I suppose that's on him. Who am I to judge? But this whole course selling kind of stuff, I understand it's a business, and realistically it probably does help a large portion of men out, those that sign up to this kind of stuff. But can you imagine if the woman found out that the man she's dating is signed up to some kind of a, we'll just call it a course, to be educated on how to increase his SMV, which I'm going to assume stands for sexual market value. She'd be repulsed by that. That'd be such an instantaneous turn off. I think just about any woman in her right mind would think that would be the biggest cuckold incel simp fest going on in these groups, where men are just bitching to one another, chatting about ideas, tricks, hints and tips on how to approach women. But do carry on, and maybe I'll learn a thing or two, and so will you, because this is meant to be life-changing. The next 15, 16 odd minutes, depending on my pauses and input, maybe give it up to 25, will change your life. So we're told.
Processes that you can actually have for free. I've created my own free community. Yes, I have actually made this. This is my own specific processes that I made for you. And I did this because I want to help truly as many people as I possibly can. I want to help as many guys as I can, which means now that I have made this complimentary, this is literally like a gift that I have given you now for free. You no longer have an excuse not to take action. You no longer have an excuse to not be part of the things that I've made. And
you have no excuse to not lose your virginity this coming weekend.
Because of that, the cool thing is that you actually get some interaction with me and all the other guys in here. If you use these same principles that I use in my life into your life, watch your life change for the better because you now actually have a plan. Let's dive in.
Wow.
Okay, this might actually be the most...
So is this like increasing your attractiveness, sexual market value, or is this going to be a full-blown, life-changing advice to rearrange your course of action and the path that you're on in life? I thought this was just going to be about like seduction and dating advice, but maybe we're going to get the full runaround.
Important video that I've ever made.
The fucking... I'm telling you, the Isaac Newton-John full setup. We've got the Einstein formulas in the background. Hey, good on him. Sincerely, this might actually be really good advice. I keep saying that.
And this video is going to determine if you actually have some success in life, okay? So this is step-by-step how to increase SMV and attractiveness in these specific areas that get women to notice you, okay? And this is what I call masculinity secrets of success. Now what this all comes down to, okay, is monitoring your environment, because you become what your environment is like. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to actually monitor your environment, and step one to doing this is get into a bare bones natural state with your own environment. So what that means is we want to remove anything that raises your cortisol or your stress hormones. Okay, if you look up online what cortisol is, this will give you a better definition, but anything that raises stress. Okay, so we are going to remove anything that raises cortisol or gives you easy dopamine. These are the two things we have to remove. I'm going to show you why, and like I said, you can do your own research on this, but this is what I have figured out on my own. Now, the reason why this is a prerequisite is because you have to do this first, or you will not be able to stick out any of the other things that I'm going to be teaching you. So here's what you have to understand. So cortisol can raise stress. So I went online and I actually typed in, I was like, what are the things that raise cortisol? And this is just a quick list of some of the things that I found. The first was added sugar and refined carbohydrates. The next is going to be alcohol, caffeinated drinks, any kind of like mental stress. So I'm guessing that emotional stress does probably play a factor into that as well. And not exercising. You're eating bad food. Okay, you are basically consuming things that is going to raise your stress.
Yeah, so just on that note, your diet does have a very big aspect to play in the quality of your day-to-day life. I do agree with him there, and it's just the basics like refined sugar, really sugar period, and overconsumption, overabundance of it. I'm not one to particularly preach the epitome of health, drinking sugar-free, but still drinking energy drinks just about every single day. I don't drink coffee, but that's my caffeine hit, I suppose. Smoking, yeah, it's an obvious one, and alcohol. Despite what other channels, what the Tates of the world might preach, I don't consider any amount of alcohol to be healthy. There's no real justification for drinking straight poison. And yeah, while we're on this topic of increasing dopamine and reducing stress, I swear by it. I consume it just about every single day for the last couple of months. Vitamin B12. So it's rather inexpensive, but try and get a natural sourced supplement as opposed to synthetic vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, you can't overdose on it. It's water soluble, so basically it means if you do consume too much of it, you'll just piss it out. Vitamin B12 I find to be very beneficial in my day-to-day life, and for cognitive enhancement and cognitive abilities, I stand by lion's mane. So lion's mane is a type of mushroom. You can get it in liquid forms or in caps. And if you're interested in my advice for which lion's mane to go for, I would recommend Mind Labs. So it's a nootropic formula, but it's transparent with the dosages and it contains lion's mane amongst a few other ingredients. But I remember having done my research at the time when I bought the Mind Labs nootropic, and it was recommended by Derek from More Plates, More Dates, and I'd contest that he knows his shit above and beyond just your everyman's other YouTuber. So I remember he recommended that a while ago. He's obviously made his own supplement line and his own nootropics. I have tried his, but my recommendation from the research that I've done in my own spare time with the comprehensive ingredients list, plus if you're an Aussie, it's a bit easier to get a hold of Mind Lab supplements as opposed to Derek's from More Plates, More Dates. His would have to be shipped from the USA and you might be waiting for 14 to 20 days. So that's my take home points of increasing your day-to-day quality of life. B12, nootropics from Mind Labs, or lion's mane, just solely lion's mane. Try and get an organic Aussie source.
This is going to make your environment very bad, because now the things that you're consuming or what you're around isn't good. Okay, so we need to remove these things. So this is the first thing. You have to monitor your cortisol. Now you have to monitor your dopamine. Okay, say this one more time. Any easy access of pleasure with no work. And what this does is this ruins your drive. That means if you're constantly gaining dopamine without doing any effort, okay, or doing anything hard, it's going to ruin your motivation every single day. Okay, so if we get this out of the way, here's what's going to happen. Our environment is going to change because we have created a living situation or a circumstance that is optimal for success, okay? So this is step one. Now, once you have done that, okay, now you can actually start to understand processes. So step two as a man is we have to do this.
Whilst I don't disagree with him, eliminating stress in its entirety is going to be impossible for just about all people, all men. There's certain things you can do to help improve your situation, certain supplements you can take to boost your performance and enhance your, let's just call it, detoxifying ability to rid yourself of free radicals. One thing you didn't touch on is sleep and the importance of quality sleep. Getting at a minimum 6 hours and going through all the stages of sleep. As far as for your cognition, the REM sleep, the rapid eye movement, the dream state, the most fundamental for your memory. So deep sleep is more about the physical, to repair your body and your cells, but REM sleep is essential for your mind. And you got to go through those stages of deep, light REM sleep at least a couple of times in, let's just call it a sleep session, to start your day with a full body battery essentially, both cognitively and physically. So that's one thing you didn't touch on, is the importance of sleep and adequate rest, and how that also plays a part in detoxifying from stress.
You have to understand progressive overload and then apply it to all areas in life. Here's what I can tell you. I learned this through bodybuilding, but the fact is most guys just move way too quick. Okay, so what I mean is this. Most guys walk into the gym. We all have seen this type of guy. Dude goes into the gym, okay, and by day 3, he's trying to 1 rep max a bench press. Or he's trying to all of a sudden 1 rep max.
Yeah, don't be that guy where you're trying to set PRs, hefty PRs. I was a bit like that when I pretty much joined my first membership at a gym. I'd be satisfied with 1 or 2 reps, that kind of powerlifting. My advice would be, if you're just starting out, So this will be targeted advice now for someone who's, say, never gone to the gym, never worked out in his life really. Now, I'm sure most of you probably have, but let's just say you're very new, humble beginnings, or you haven't gone to the gym at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with machines. Machines will get you started, they'll get you primed, they don't allow for improper form and minimize your risk to injury. And most machines, whether it's by Techno Gym or I think it's called Hammer Strength gym equipment, which just about most gyms are equipped with one or the other, have these little instructions and a diagram of what muscles you're working and how to perform the movement. So I don't have anything against machines. If you're just starting out, get on the machines and break apart your workout in such a way where you target, let's just say, contrasting muscle groups. So one might be a push movement where you're in a machine doing chest press. The next set of exercises that you might want to do would be something like assisted dips. So you're still targeting the chest area by doing assisted dips, but it's not now primarily the chest area. You'd be hitting some shoulders with the dips, obviously your triceps as well. And then say the third exercise you go to, you could either do a machine shoulder press, or you could go and do a dumbbell shoulder press, which again, the free weights using the dumbbells requires a lot more muscle contraction because you don't have the stability of being locked in a machine. Using dumbbells, you'd have to lock and tighten your core, your chest would be activated, your front delts, your side delts, your rear delts. You'd have a lot more muscle activation using free weights, but also a lot more of a risk to injury. So again, getting back to my point of if you're just starting out, there's nothing wrong with assessing how your muscles fare using machines before you attempt to use dumbbells. And that said, don't just try and go for the dumbbells right off the get-go that you feel, oh yeah, you can do this. And you feel for the first 3, 4, 5 reps, okay, yeah, like that's all right. By the time you get to your 6th rep, you're pretty fucked. And by your 7th rep, you're just about, struggling to get it up there, if at all. And if you're just starting out and you're using free weights and you get caught in that situation with no one spotting you, that's where you could have a high risk of injury. So just my simple advice is start off with machines and slowly progress. If you can do, I'm going to say at least 12 reps, you can think about increasing the weight. But if you aren't getting to 12 reps, in my mind, at least 5 sets of 12 reps, you shouldn't be looking to increase the weight just yet. Again, if you're already working out, don't hate on me just for giving beginner advice. That's my beginner advice, to just see how you fare with activating your muscles.
To test his strength, or he's adding way too much weight on the barbell in between these weeks and not doing a proper structure and a proper progressive overload training plan. Okay, you have to understand this about everything in life, whether it be approaching your dream girlfriend, whether it be building the success habits needed to make your dream income, whatever the case may be. Progress is slow. Okay, you have to understand this. Most guys move too quick. So if I were to create a training plan for somebody, let's say if this was...
Yeah, progress is slow. So at the moment, I'll probably take about $500-$600 worth of different supplements and vitamins. Now, I was about 8 kilos heavier 8 weeks ago. I've touched on this in my other videos. I just got out of hospital. I was fucked up and half alive. I still have some residual side effects. I have a bit of peripheral neuropathy in my feet. If you don't know what that is, it's basically burning, tingling, numbing, and just overall sensitive and pain. Sometimes complete numbness, and it comes and goes in my right foot. So I was in a pretty bad way about 8 weeks ago. And for about the first 2 weeks, so only 6 weeks ago, I didn't even leave the house. I was still in quite a bad way. So when I started working out, with my fitness tracker, I'm not sure if this is going to come up on camera, but you can get yourself a much cheaper one. like a fitness tracker, fitness watch. I think Whoop bands that link with your phone, you can get them relatively cheap, or in some cases you can get a used one, I think, free. They had that for a while where you just pay for postage and you see if you like it, and you can get a used one. But anyway, a pedometer, something that measures your steps, relatively cheap. And you could say I was practically just starting out with everything that I had put myself through, gone through. Leaving the house now for the first time in a month, if you count the stay in hospital, and then a fortnight after the hospital of not leaving the house. I started off with about 1,000 steps of walking a day. That's where I was at, and this is only 6 weeks ago. Every single day, leave the house and walk. And it started with 1,000 steps, and then the next day, made it 1,200, the next 16, the next 18. Before you know it, it was the end of a week, and after 7 days, I went from not walking at all, not doing anything at all, to doing about 2,500 steps. So, like I said, I've been at this day in, day out, daily for 6 weeks.
Rain in 12 minutes.
I don't know if you heard that. That was a rain notification. So, yeah, do the math of pretty much where I'm at now, being consistent to do a little bit more every single day. And yeah, with that said, I've lost about 7.5 kilos in that time. Mind you, I've also implemented a diet. Now, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to make this now some kind of a fitness video, but as Casey here said, diet is probably the most important thing to getting your health on track. So exercise is like the side quest. That comes second. If your diet's shit, if your diet's fucked, and you can even eat healthy foods but eat too much of it, depending on your fitness levels and how much you do in a day, all right, you can't just go, say, lift weights for half an hour and think that, all right, well, now I can load up 4,000 calories on quote-unquote healthy organic food, and that's going to do me justice. So that's not how that works either. And it also depends on your goals. Is your goal to maintain your muscle and lose fat? Is your goal just strictly to bloat max, get fucking huge and strong, and you don't particularly care about water weight or fat gains? So I'm not going to get carried away here, but if you're just starting out, seriously, set yourself some kind of a task. Today, I'm going to do 10 push-ups. Say you can only do 2. Maybe you can do 5 or 6 or 7 on your knees. Today, I'm going to do 5, 6, or 7 on my knees. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and do 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Basically, from the time you start, say you're doing 7, a week later, you might be now up to 14. Just food for thought, guys. I'm talking to the beginners here. I don't need to hear big swinging dick heroes that know what they're doing in the comment section. It's for people that genuinely want to change something in their life and they might not have the confidence to start. Like I said, about 6 weeks ago, I practically started again. I went from doing about 10, 11 pull-ups on a so-so average day to not being able to do a single pull-up after I got out of hospital. And it took me about, I only started doing 1 pull-up about 3 weeks ago, and now I'm up to about 4. I'm still miles and decibels away from getting back to 12. It's about taking the first step and just building on it.
It was incline barbell bench press.
Progressive
Let's just say,
overload.
hypothetically, their strength day 1, which even this is probably pretty high if this is truly their first day in the gym, but let's just use 135 pounds for rough numbers. So let's say we hit 135 pounds for 5 sets of 5. Next week, we're not going to try to 1 rep max 185, but that's what most guys do. They try to make progress way too quick. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to stack. Okay, so then the next week, we're just going to try 140 for 5 sets of 5. If we hit that, now we're going to...
He's basically saying what I just spoke about, so we'll let him just gloss over the workout part to not make this overly long. The link will be in the description if you want to see his full video. Subscribe to his channel.
So now we have to move on to step 3. What is step 3? Step 3 would be you are going to apply what you learned in the gym to your dating and social life, okay? And here's what you have to understand. All men will need to do this to get to new levels. If you want to get to new levels, you have to do this. And the reason why is because everybody hits a limit. Everyone is going to hit a limit at some point. You think that this guy over here was black?
Look, if you're just starting out, working out, even if you've been working out for 1 or 2 years, you are way away from your limit. So don't worry about like your physical limit. Okay? People train for decades and still go one beyond their limits. And I'm not talking about starting pharmacology and all the naughty supplements. But yeah, I've also said this in other videos. You've always got to aim to level up. Progressively overload, as Casey's saying, with anything in life, not just the gym, okay? Not just with women, not just in a dating environment, but with all your relationships, with all the people in your inner circle, with the next person you meet, every interaction you have. How can I make this better?
And he might be at his starting point, but that doesn't mean that he's going to consistently keep making gains and progress in life. Everybody hits a limit. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how tall you are, doesn't matter any of that, okay? Okay, so here's what you have to understand. You focusing on talking to the runway model, right? The runway supermodel that you find so attractive, so gorgeous day one, okay, and never taking action because you fall off of your plan. This was your training plan in the gym. You fall off it by week 3 because you try to do too much. Trying to do that day 1 is equal to the guy the first week going into the gym thinking that he has to squat 4 plates. It's not going to work. You are focused on the end result, which is that dream girlfriend that you have, that beautiful girlfriend, and it's hard for you to say hello to one new person.
You know, losing 1 kilo of weight, I'm not saying fat, losing 1 kilo of weight, because unindicatively, is that the right word? Let's just say undoubtedly, there'll be some lean muscle mass lost when you are trying to cut weight, when you're trying to lose body fat. You can't help it. You'll lose skeletal mass, you'll lose lean body mass. A portion of it anyway. It's unless you're on, you know, the gear, it's just going to be a byproduct. But you have to be consistent, all right? And you have to come to a realization that results won't happen overnight. So as I just said, a kilo of weight to lose in a week, by many, is considered rather rapid weight loss. So 4 kilos in a month is rather rapid. And it can be a very big step to implement the kind of diet and workout regimen to be able to lose that kind of a weight. Now for reference, I'm 6'5", and I, for the last 37 days, according to MyFitnessPal, that's how long ago I started logging my calories, I haven't superseded 1900 calories a day in a 24-hour period now for that many days. About 37. On top of that, I've been walking every single day for the last 6 weeks, and I just started, on top of the walking, implementing strength training outside of the home, in the gym. At home, I was doing my push-ups and pull-ups, but now with dumbbells, with free weights, with machines, only about 10 or 9 odd days ago. And it's slow. I'm weaker on everything. Like I said with the pull-ups, every single machine. The weight loss, like I said, 1 kilo a week is considered rather rapid, but at times I think that's damn slow. And because of water fluctuations, one day I might step on the scale and be like, all right, I lost a couple of 100 grams. The next day I'll step on the scale and it might be, as crudely as it sounds, for lack of having not taken a dump that morning, for not having taken a piss, I might be about 350 grams heavier than I was the day before. And I think, how's that possible? Calorie deficit, all that exercise, the walking. So you also have to be patient. You have to not become dejected. You have to acknowledge and have the conversation with yourself, or at least heed the conversation that I'm having with you, that life-changing progress, especially when you're trying to gauge it every single day, can be rather slow, and sometimes it can be dejecting too. So you think, when you start thinking grand spectrum, long scheme of things, you think, all right, well, if I can lose 10 kilos and I do that in 10 weeks, mind you, if you are doing strength training and if you're just starting out, newbie gains, you'll potentially not lose as much weight as you might aim to lose, because you'll gain lean muscle mass. You'll increase bone density is what I was trying to say, not just lean muscle mass. So you'll get bigger overall, and whilst you might be losing, well, you should be losing body fat if you're in a calorie deficit, you might become dejected when you look at the scale and you think, well, my goal was to lose 10 kilos here, but say you only lost about 7 in that time. Or the weight loss on the scale, week in, week out, you say to yourself, man, I haven't even lost a kilo. I haven't even lost a kilo this week. I've somehow even weighed 100 grams heavier this week. That's where a measuring tape can also help to help stimulate you to increase your confidence. But I wouldn't bother with that too much. But by measuring tape, if you're wondering what I mean by that, is to measure your parameters, measure your waist, measure your arm, your bicep, measure it cold, measure it flexed, measure it after a pump. If you're a bit self-conscious, just go to the bathroom in the gym. Just give it a quick measure and see where you're at. But me personally, I would just use strength as an indicator. Am I getting stronger? Have I bumped up the weight in, say, that 10 weeks? How much have I bumped it up by? What movements have I gotten better at? How many pull-ups am I doing now as opposed to when I started? I'd use that as my gauge and my indicator. But don't be discouraged with, slow results, because good things take time. It's a matter of being consistent. That's how you stay on course.
And that's even a dude right beside you. This is the whole problem, okay? So now what you have to do is all of this. Look at this, 12 weeks of tracked progression. This is what you have to do for your whole life. 12 weeks turns into 52 weeks, that's a year. 104 weeks now is 2 years, so on and so forth. You have to do this every single day. If you want results, there's no excuse. Nothing will make up for this. There is no amount of raw talent that will make up for this.
I understand life can get in the way. He says there's no excuse. Sometimes life just gets in the way. Sometimes, whether it's struggles at work with your partner, your own private mental health struggles and the battles you have going on within. This whole macho man, alpha male, no excuses. I can totally sympathize and resonate with men who sometimes have life drag them down. I think a lot of these preachers are out of no excuse, stay true to the course and just never quit no matter fucking what, have truly never hit the canvas, have truly never been at rock bottom. Sometimes, especially for the guys who might even be watching this that have no one to turn to, no one to talk to, they can't afford a $250 session with a clinical psychologist or whatnot. Everything is just that little bit harder, and it can be quite hard for a lot of men. A lot of men suffer in silence, and then they watch things like this. Not that I'm criticizing Casey Zander here, but they watch things like this. They listen to people like, let's just say again, Andrew Tate as an example, and they think, man, I can't show any weakness. I can't have any weakness within me. I can't falter. Unfortunately, there's a rampant rate of male suicides, not just in this country, but all over the Western world. There's a lot of problems with addiction. And I've met a few men who just burn out. And a lot of the times, even the people around them don't catch them burning out. Look at the rate of suicides. We've lost more servicemen due to suicide than we lost in the most recent conflicts in the Middle East. So it's okay to reach out. I don't want to get all preachy now about mental health, but the reality is this kind of attitude of no excuses, no compromises. Yes, you have to be, like I said, consistent. Consistency is key. But don't try and make leaps and bounds. Going back to my reference of 1,000 steps one day, 1,200 the next, and just add 100 steps. It's better to inch forward every single day than start taking big leaps forward and then falling meters if not miles back. A little bit forward each day, all right, is better. Some days you might even find yourself having to stand still. Just stand in place. Take a day to yourself. Even that's better than starting to take steps back.
You are either doing the success habits needed or you're not. I don't care how you feel. When your head hits the pillow at...
Yeah, see, that's what I don't agree with. I think that's rather dangerous advice. I can't imagine myself as a peer support worker now telling men, especially men who have seen combat, just got out of some kind of a dangerous situation, potentially have PTSD, any sort of other mental health related issue, illness. Man, you got no fucking excuse today. Wouldn't catch myself with a gun to my head uttering those words to someone. Like I said, you can be going through a hard time and you might have no one to turn to. Even when all hope seems lost, sometimes something as little as going for a walk, listening to a song you like, if you've got no one to reach out to. Just taking pause, rather than burdening yourself to push yourself that day, to go above and beyond. No, I got to be consistent. I still got to grind today out. If you feel like you're struggling, and this takes practice and this takes time to acknowledge sometimes as well. But don't let yourself get to a breaking point, all right? Because unfortunately, the reality is for a lot of the time, you're going to have to acknowledge when you're in the danger zone, when you're approaching your breaking point. As much as we might hope and anticipate that even our loved ones, our partners, they'll catch us before we get there, a lot of the times, I suppose that's the inner male within a lot of us, we'll go at it alone until we tip over the edge and no one's there to break our fall. On that note, if anyone needs anyone to talk to, any sort of mental health advice or just a conversation about what have you, I'm in the Geelong area. If you're an Aussie bloke or wherever you may be, you can just reach out in the comments, get in touch with me that way. I read every single comment, at least at this stage, before it gets overwhelming if we ever get there as a YouTube channel. But in all seriousness, I think this is bad advice from Casey, that no compromise, no excuse, just fucking do or die. Sometimes it's better to just pause rather than potentially die.
Night, you either got the stuff done that you needed to or you didn't. I don't care about overall self-improvement. We have to self-improve in the areas needed that you actually have to achieve as a man to increase your dating life and make things way better for yourself. And that's what I'm here to do, is I'm here to help as many guys get there as humanly possible. So, okay.
I just can't help but find it a little bit funny that he said all that, just keep pushing, keep fucking grinding. And then he says, your dating life. Like, that's the primary factor as to why you're doing this, why you're trying to watch your sleep, why you're trying to watch your diet, why you are starting to exercise. It's all to do with just trying to get that top 1%, top 5% chick. It's all for your dating life at the end of the day. That's so insignificant.
Okay. Let's say this one more time. Focusing on talking to the runway model day one and never taking action is equal to the guy first week in the gym thinking that he has to squat.
Give me a loyal, loving, confident 6 out of 10 any day over some bitchy, whiny, materialistic runway 9 out of 10 model.
Got 4 plates, okay? You are going to now apply progressive overload. You are going to say hi to one new dude at the gym today. Now, the next step for progressive overload, you're now going to try to just do this for 7 days in a row. Just say hi, okay? Now what you're going to do, after 7 days, you're going to say hi, okay? And now you're going to say, how's your day going? Well, you're not going to try to rush this too quick. You're going to just sit right there for another 7 days. Okay, just like what I had to do, none of you guys saw this. For me, right, for the longest time, my plateau on incline barbell bench press was 245 pounds for 5 sets of 5, okay? Not only did it take me a bunch of weeks to get there, like years and years to get there, but before I could go to 250 pounds, I had to sit there at 245 pounds for 5 sets of 5 and get so used to the movement. I had to sit there for, I think, like 12 or 13 weeks in a row, 3 months at one weight, before I could just add another 2.5 pounds on each side and be at 250. None of you saw that. That's how everything has been my entire life. That's how it's...
Yeah, it's even like that with weight loss. So yeah, you'll encounter plateaus. Like say you're going on a weight loss journey, those first few weeks, maybe a month, month and a half, you'll notice rather rapid steps in, say, your weight loss, your strength gains in the gym. And then things just slow down. Then you have to increase your weight cut. You have to reduce your calories even more. You hit a plateau with your strength. You might go from 1 pull-up on no pull-ups to getting to 3 or even 4 rather quick. But then just getting to that step where you're trying to pump out 5, 6, it's a lot slower. And now going from around 5 to 10 potentially takes double the time as it took to get from 1 to 5.
Going to be for your whole life too. Figuring out where your plateaus are and increasing.
It's even like that with walking. You can go from 1,000 to 10,000 steps potentially. I wouldn't say it's unhealthy unless you've got some sort of injuries or ailments. To go from 1,000 steps to 10,000 in 9 or 10 days. But you're not just going to go from 10,000 steps a day to 20,000 steps a day in another 10 days. Let alone from 20 to 30,000 steps a day. So with anything, with strength, with weight loss, even with your daily steps.
The things needed to overcome them. So you're just going to sit there for another 7 days. You're going to say, hi, how's your day? And you're going to sit there for 7 days. Now you're going to add one more thing. Now, okay, after 14 days of doing these 2 things, by day 15 now you're just going to say, hi, how's your day going? And now you're going to add in, what's your name? Do you see how this is micro progressions? You are literally adding micro progressions. So micro progressions, okay, this is how you make long-term success. This is how you get long-term success. So I'm 28 years old. Let's say if I did stuff like this every single day for the next 3 years, now by the time I'm 28, 29, 30, 31, let's say, now I'm able to talk to whoever or whatever. This is the example that I'm trying to give you. It doesn't matter what age you are. Take my age out of the equation. It's about you. It's about helping you. This is what you have to do. These micro progressions add up. These micro progressions turn you into something that you didn't even know that you were because you put in the dedication, success habits to get there. This is the only way. You can learn all the information that you want. I don't care how many videos you watch, and I don't care how much information you consume. You become what your daily actions build up into. Okay? And that's just how life works. So the issue is that everybody gives up. When I just laid out 12 weeks of progression here, everybody gives up by week 2, and then they go back to just playing video games. This is the problem. The problem is no understanding of patience and no understanding of discipline and dedication. This is everybody's issue. You have to be patient. And it's...
Which is why my take on all of this is slow but gradual steps, slow and consistent steps. So when you exit the gym, my theory on it is, and maybe a significant amount of YouTubers, fitness influencers would disagree, but here's where I got a different interjecting opinion and perspective on things, is that you want to leave the gym, all right, especially if you're just starting out, if you're in your weeks 1, 2, 3, as Casey's putting it, you want to leave the gym every single time feeling like you had the urge to do a little bit more, and you had more in the tank to be able to do a little bit more. You don't want to leave the gym burnt the fuck out every single time you leave the gym, because that's where consistency is really going to start rearing its head. Am I going to be able to maintain this? How consistent am I going to be if every single time I'm pushing myself to the edge? And then you start thinking, you start doubting, man, I got to do this for another, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks to get to my goal? Because that's going to be the reality of it. And you're leaving the gym every single time on the brink, burning out. You might be able to withstand that for half a week, maybe a fortnight, but you ain't going to make it to the finish line if it's a 12-week challenge program that you're following. So I think it's best to maintain that consistency with whatever it is that you're doing. Say your goal is to walk 10,000 steps, the next day it's 10,200. You might even have the euphoria, the dopamine. You might be listening to a really good song and thinking, I'll smash it out. Today, instead of 10,400, I think I'm just going to go straight up for the 11,000. But then keep in mind, the next day after that, you're going to have to get to 11,200 to keep progressing forward. Because now if the next day you go back, all right, well, I did 11,000, but today I think I'm going to drop back down to 10. I think you can start entering the wrong kind of mindset, because you're always naturally going to want to supersede your achievement. It's like with a 1 rep max PR. You hit a personal record of some kind of a weight that you're lifting. Well, now you're not necessarily going to want to go back down. You're going to want to match that PR until you get stronger to set a new one. That's just a perspective, okay? It's a bit of advice, my opinion, my hot take on it, so to speak. You might have your own, and feel free to leave that in the comments. But I think it's always better to leave a little bit in the tank, to have the urge to want to do a little bit more, but taking pause and saying, no, I had a drawn up goal, I had a set out task, I accomplished it, and you know what? This fire that I got in the belly to do a little more, now it's going to carry over to tomorrow. And now this way I'm going to stay consistent.
It's not about tackling all of this assertively and at a quick pace. This is about going slow enough that you can stay in the game longest. The same goes for business. The same goes for life. The same goes for everything. Who can stick in the game the longest and keep progressing without giving up? That's how this works, okay? So now, step 4. You're going to apply progressive overload to your faith, okay, and to your business. This is how you start to level up spiritually and you level up financially. So maybe it's really hard for you to, get into a state where you're focused, okay? But what you're going to ask yourself is you're going to say, well, how can I make micro progressions that add up? Can you sit there and just pray or meditate for maybe just 10 seconds a day? Okay, cool. If you can do that for 7 days straight.
Yeah, so on that, I think he makes a pretty valid point. There's even apps out there. For example, you're Christian, you're Catholic. There's an app called Hollow. Yes, it's subscription based, but it's like an audio book. What's that Amazon app? Audible. It's like an Audible, but for the Christian faith. So there's prayer readings. There's just daily food for thought. Sermons, like virtual sermons held by the likes of Bear Grylls now, I think, is a new one on there, and Mark Wahlberg. And sometimes it might be as short as 2 or 3 minutes. Something a little calming, something a little thought-provoking. So I don't disagree with Casey here. Say you're a Catholic, it's not necessarily about being strict with attending church every single Sunday. Sometimes if you're just going through the motions, i.e. you're going to church, but you feel like it's almost like a chore. You're trying to kind of look for an excuse to not really be about that, say, that morning. You don't feel like it. You'd rather sleep in. What's the point? Again, it's about that consistency. So if you're going to start doing it, try and make it consistent. So again, maybe you got to build up to it. Maybe it's just a matter of devoting 10 seconds to praying, to meditating. Then the next day, maybe a little bit more, and the next day, a little bit more. Just a thought, guys.
Now can you do it for 15 seconds instead of 10? If you can do that for another 7 days straight, now can we just do 30 seconds? Do you see how you're not rushing this? This is a problem. Everybody is so in a rush. People are going to go, well, how do I
It's amazing how we're basically finishing each other's sentences at this point.
pray or how do I meditate for a full half hour and be able to be at peace instantly? And it doesn't work like that. Your environment right here, getting to a bare bones natural state in your environment. If you don't do this prerequisite step where you actually understand your stress, okay, or the word cortisol, and look, I'm not super advanced at all the terminology when it comes to science and all this. I don't know everything about stress and all that but I just looked this up online and I'm like, what are the things, or what is cortisol and how can this increase stress? And then I looked at the word dopamine, okay? This is what I'm saying. You have to get your environment good in the first place. So it's like, well, can we do 15 seconds? Now can we do 30? Okay, everybody right here, they want to make $1 million. I'm sure you want to make $1 million a year. Everybody says that, oh, I want to be a millionaire. It's like, okay, well, can you convince someone to just give you $1?
Make a BitGet account, go to the futures market, put the highest amount of money you have on a 20x long for Pepe, watch Donald Trump win the election and watch that bitch soar. That's my financial advice to make $1 million from $10,000. In all seriousness, of course, when it comes to investing, only invest what you can afford to lose. But I'm serious, that Pepe coin might seem like a meme, but Trump wins the election. It's going off. Well, speaking of, I might actually even get a censor warning now. I got one on one of my other videos. It said that this video, it's the one to heed her red flags. Yeah, that video, I got like a warning that it's going to impede or affect the United States election. So now I suppose the checking mechanic algorithm, the bot, might pick up on what I just said now, and again, this video will be potentially interfering with the US election. Fucking crock of shit.
Well, if you can do that now, can you convince somebody to give you $10? Well, if you do that for enough weeks in a row or enough months in a row, now can you just go and convince somebody to give you $100? But see, this is a problem. Everybody quits. Everybody quits. And this is why most men don't have success, because they all quit. So here's what you have to understand. The high school football player or the high school athlete that, let's say, attracted all the ladies. Okay, you probably thought, oh man, if I was only that guy. That same guy right now, because that was a different environment, and because like I said earlier, every single man or every single person will have to do this because everybody hits a limit at some point. That exact guy way back then who was, let's say, the ladies' man, okay, there's a very high chance that that guy right now is working a job that he hates with no options. Why? Because every single person will hit some kind of limit where they are forced to progress or they are going to stay in the exact same situation. This right here is how you increase SMV and attractiveness in the areas that women will notice. Because now what you've done is you've created the disciplined success habits that make you a man of value. You have created the charisma because you have understood discipline through building your body. You have understood progressive overload in every area in your life. And you're now a man that is results focused because you are able to operate and do all of these things regardless of how you feel. So what I did was I made my own group, my own community, and my own inside processes that I'm going to be giving you complimentary. All you have to do now is join me inside of that. I'll give it to you right now. It's probably going to be in the description of this video. You'll love it. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, so that came basically full circle to getting women. It's probably going to be the least significant thing on your mind if you started getting your health in check, your diet in check, your strength, your workout routine, your consistency. The byproduct, the sexual market value that you'll increase and level up in will just be a byproduct of your consistency and hard work. It's just kind of it all came full circle to just about getting the woman, even the business, even your investing, even you're making money, you making $1 million. The woman was still at the top of the pyramid. No, in all seriousness, I like Casey Zander. Like I said, I haven't checked him out for X number of years. He does some pretty good videos, and he can inspire men, I think, to get started and get their confidence level up. And look, these kinds of groups, I understand, again, it's his business model. He's, let's just call him a dating coach, a life coach maybe. But really, you don't need a vast majority of that to just start out, to start building some sort of self-worth and self-confidence within yourself. And just the one caveat, one problem I had with his video is this: balls to the wall, push through it no matter what kind of attitude. Okay, so I don't think you ever want to put yourself in a situation where you risk. Burnout is almost too light of a word for it, okay? We'll say falling off a cliff. You don't want to nosedive into the ground when it comes to your mental health, and I think it's not spoken about enough. I'm not saying cry wolf every single time there's a bit of a boo-boo in your life where you retreat within and over amplify the actual situation that's going on with you. But if you do sit down and have a hard talk with yourself and think, fuck, like, I'm not alright, like, I just can't do this anymore, you feel yourself teetering on that edge, like, it's okay to just take pause, take a day for yourself, take a fucking week to yourself, if that's what you have to do. If you have to retreat and not talk to anyone, you feel that helps. It's tried and tested that sometimes solitude, which shouldn't be confused with loneliness, is a safe haven for you, a place where you go within yourself and reassess your thoughts, you sort of defragment your mind and put everything in place. Or, like I said, alternatively, you can reach out, and not everyone can afford a counselor or a psychologist, and there might even be a waiting list. So if you've gotten to this point in the video, I'm even open to you leaving me a comment, shooting me a message. Like, I speak to men, young and old, about this sort of stuff in my day-to-day life, and I've gone through a hell of a lot of different issues with my own personal life throughout the years. So on that note, I'll leave it there. And yeah, I think the take-home point to this entire video is consistency is key, and that will level you up in all facets of life, as Casey here demonstrated in this video. Take care, guys. See you soon.